What's up, guys? Belligerent here with another Bloodline video, and this is going to be a first look at the brand new Polar Bear clan. Do not ask me to try to pronounce this name. There's way too many letters in that for that to be a pronounceable word, so we're just going to call them the Polar Bear clan. Okay? So at the time of this recording, they haven't been released yet. It's still 2 days before they released. So there are a few things we're not going to know. We're not going to know the big one being the clan trait. There's also been no way to play test these, so this is going to be kind of a first look at it. We'll kind of theory craft with around some of the skills, and then when they come out fully and I have a chance to test them out, we will do some deep dives. We'll include the traits. We'll include trait builds, stuff like that, and I'll kind of tell you. So give you some more thoughts and information after play testing them. But for now, we're just going to take a look at the skills and kind of theory craft around that. So let's get into it. First up, we're going to take a look at the female. Okay, so her passive ability, Chilling Aura, constantly emits chill in combat. Enemies imbued by chill will have their fortitude reduced by 100%, of which 100% will convert into champion's fortitude. If there are multiple enemies nearby, the fortitude gains can stack. When an enemy leaves the chill range, the effect expires immediately. Okay. That felt a little confusing, so let's unpack it, re-go through it. Okay. Constantly emits chill in combat. So it's kind of an aura that she's going to emit. Enemies affected by the chill will have their fortitude reduced by 100%. This is at max skill level. So we'll have their fortitude reduced by 8%. So she's going to strip armor anybody that's close to her. That sounds pretty powerful. With the exception that fortitude is not that powerful in this game, but that's a lot. I mean, that's essentially making it so anybody near her, when you have it at level 15 out of 15 and it's doing 100%. Before this, it's not doing 100%. So when you have a lower, we'll have to see what those lower numbers are. But at max out, it's 100% fortitude reduction. So that's essentially meaning anybody attacking champions around her that are affected by this chill are doing true damage. It ignores the fortitude. Okay. And then so of the fortitude that's reduced, 100% will convert into her own fortitude. So she's stealing everybody's fortitude. So while fortitude is not strong, I'll be curious to see how strong her fortitude will be, and if this will actually make a truly tanky champion with fortitude. Okay. Now, an interesting thing will be to see female bear go up against female bear. That that would feel like it would kind of even itself out a little bit. All right. If there are multiple enemies nearby, the fortitude gains can stack. So essentially, anybody who gets close to her. So if it's 3 champions all getting their fortitude stripped, that will stack, and she'll get 100% of all of the strip that she does there. Okay? And then as soon as enemies go away, she loses that. So potentially, again, the caveat being fortitude is not that strong. So I don't know how strong this could be. But I think especially end game with lots of vigor and high fortitude numbers, this might be pretty decent. We'll have to wait and see. But this could lend itself well to like a single melee with 4 range champions. So everybody's kind of piling up around her. Okay, let's move on. Her active, which is Tundra Smite, pulls a random enemy outside the chill range to the caster and slashes all enemies in front, dealing damage equal to a % of the caster's strength reducing their damage dealt by 20% for 4 seconds. If no enemy is outside the chill range, the caster will slash forward immediately. So that I like how that plays with the passive. So you have the champions around her in the chill area, and the range champions, the mages, the marksmen that are staying away from her. One of those is going to get pulled into her, so they are now have all their fortitude stripped. She now has their fortitude, and then she attacks everybody that's in front of her with some decent damage. 480 at max. That's not bad damage. There's ultimates that do less than that. And then also reduces their damage dealt by 25%. Again at max range, so 8%. All right. Her ultimate, Bear's Ice Storm, swings the poleaxe in place to continuously attack nearby enemies, dealing damage and interrupting the enemy's action once per 5 seconds, once per 0.5 seconds, and total damage equal to a percentage of the caster's strength over 3 seconds. Reduces the enemy's constitution recovery by a percent for 1 second each time damage is dealt. Okay, let's read through that again because it was felt a little all over the place, or maybe I just got lost. So she's going to swing her axe. Let's take out all the excess descriptive words in here. Swings her axe continuously. Hitting nearby enemies. She's a melee, so it's just going to hit nearby enemies. Deals damage. Interrupts the enemy's action once every half second. So essentially is staggering them, right? So any kind of action, whatever they're doing, is going to get interrupted. So you can have your ultimate interrupted, your active interrupted, normal attacks. That's what it sounds like to me. And total damage equal to 900% at max level of the caster's strength over 3 seconds. That's 900% over 3 seconds, so it's kind of spread out there. And then reduces their healing. So she sounds pretty good. Sounds like it has some serious potential there. Just thinking through these, the passive and the actimate work very well together. That's one of the better like skill packages I've seen. And then the ultimate plays right into it. Now everybody that's gathered around her has all their fortitude stripped, and now she's going to do a serious damage attack of 900% there. All right, let's take a look at the male. His passive, Freezing Aura. A frozen zone forms on the battlefield, inflicting enemies in it with 1 layer of shiver per second. At 6 layers, okay, so it's going to take 6 seconds to get to 6 layers. The enemies will be frozen for 3 seconds. And their damage taken increased by 40% or 8%. Whenever the affected enemy casts an ultimate, all shiver layers will be removed. Leaving the frozen zone for 3 seconds also removes the shiver effect. Okay. I guess part of it depends on how big this frozen zone is. If it's something like, who is that? Is that a male Samir? He has a pretty wide zone around him. But part of this depends on how big that zone is. Okay. And then I don't know that I'm a huge fan of this. Because, I mean, I like that it freezes them for 3 seconds. The catch is, like, it's not like male Akuna, where it says it ignores control immunity. So it may not affect everybody, for starters. And then it increases the damage taken by 40% at max, which is not nearly, I don't think that will be as strong as stripping all their fortitude away and giving them, essentially making them take true damage like the female. I don't think. It's a it's kind of essentially like a stronger version of fierce, right? It increases your damage. Okay. Not quite as excited about that passive as I am the female, but let's take a look at the active. Tundra Tremor charges up and strikes forward, dealing damage equal to a percent of the caster's strength, launching the target airborne while leaving a frozen zone behind for 6 seconds. There's the frozen zone from his passive as well. Which makes me question, like, is this how frozen zones are formed? But the passive says the frozen zone forms on the battlefield. Is that just a random spot? Is that a spot where he's in? We'll have to see how some of that plays out. Charges up, strikes forward, deals damage, and launches airborne. And then the leaving a frozen zone behind for 6 seconds, which means anybody not immediately in that frozen zone, it will be impossible for them to get frozen by it because you have to get 6 layers and it's only there for 6 seconds. So that's only enough for 6 layers if you're in it the entire time. Not super excited about that one either. And then Bear Shattered Glacier swings the greatsword, dealing damage to all enemies in a fan-shaped area in front, equal to a percent of the caster's strength, knocking them back. So a knockback. The caster then leaps forward, dealing damage to all enemies within a large area, equal to a percent of the caster's strength, enhancing the frozen zone for 8 seconds. When enemies in the frozen zone suffer from immobilizing control effects, the duration is increased by 8%. So is the enhancing of the frozen zone... I don't exactly know what the enhancing the frozen zone is unless it's just making it last longer. So I'm trying to think through this. It's really just an attack, right? Swings the greatsword, deals damage, then leaps forward, deals damage to all enemies within a large area, enhances the frozen zone. We'll have to see what enhancing the frozen zone is. I almost in a way feel like this is kind of like a worse version of male Akuna without the heals. He doesn't feel very tanky. I guess he's not a tank, is he? He's a warrior. They're warriors, my bad. I will have to see this one play out. But I don't like the sound of these skills near as much as I like the female. So again, this is just the first look. We will have an official look once we know what the trait is, what the clan trait is. We can't see it yet because the renowned champion section doesn't show clan trait. By the way, I don't know why it doesn't show clan trait. That doesn't make sense. It gives you all the information about a clan except for the clan trait. So we'll have that. We'll go through all this again. I'll be able to better explain to you how these things work. But this is a quick first look right after the maintenance and right as soon as I got all of this information from the game. We will have trait recommendations and everything else in our deep dive. So between these two, I think I am definitely going female, or at least most excited about female. Her kit sounds like it all works well together. Sounds like it is well thought out, well produced. His feels more like a carbon copy of probably 4 or 5 other enemies we have outside of maybe the enemies. 4 or 5 other champions that we have outside of maybe the freezing aspect of it. Hers sounds very unique, possibly very strong, and possibly making Fortitude good for the first time in forever. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Check me out streaming every night. Like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend. I'm Belligerent. Peace.